Crypto Unqualified.
Hey, what up, guys? Nathan and Benjamin here. We're just coming back from DevCon, Seattle Blockchain Conference. We've been there all day long. It was awesome. There's some exciting things coming out in regards to gaming. Can't wait to give you guys some more info on that.
We had planned to have a sit-down interview with Jeff Garzik from Block, from Metronome, but after his talk he had to jam out and catch a flight, so unfortunately we are not going to be able to bring that interview, but we had a really amazing sit-down interview with Douglas Horn from Goodblock, from Telos,
From Washington State.
Represent.
Yep.
A great conversation. He let us take a spin on an upcoming blockchain game that's set to launch on Telos, Drakos Keep, and it's really cool. It's going to be really amazing. I'm really excited for that launch.
Benjamin got to play against Douglas, and Benjamin won, but I think Douglas let him win.
Dominated, and
He didn't dominate. He won.
I
It wasn't
pretty
really
much dominated.
He won.
And Douglas is really embarrassed.
He could care less, I think.
And now I'm going to go on to establish my career as a Drakos Keep dungeon master. Is that a thing?
No, it's not.
Okay.
You just made that up. All
Hello.
right.
Hello.
Hello. Benjamin's joining us.
Hi.
Hey,
All right.
man.
Good to see you too. This is Douglas with Goodblock, also the creator of the whitepaper of Telos, and he's here to talk about what's happening and what's up and coming with Goodblock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the last time we saw you, you were thinking about being a block producer for EOS. That was last year at
was
the
a long
Seattle
time ago.
Blockchain Conference, and since then, you've formed Telos.
So Goodblock, it's the same company. It was under a different name, but we got Goodblock, and it's so much more about what we're trying to do. But yeah, so last time we saw you, we were part of the EOS mainnet launch group. We helped launch EOS. There were some parts of EOS that we weren't excited about, as excited about as I was in the earlier days when we started joining EOS, and so I tried to create a project where they could have all the technical advantages of EOS, but also have all the governance and sort of cool crypto world sort of advantages that was in the first EOS pitch, but those didn't actually end up getting built for EOS. And so that, and I showed that to some people, called it a white paper, showed it to some people, and they, other people said, yeah, we actually thought EOS was supposed to be like that too.
When did you first start cooling off to EOS? Was it the struggle with trying to become a block producer, or was it just that whole process? Or?
No, it was not. So we knew it was going to be hard to be a block producer, and that's fine. I didn't actually expect to. We weren't as central to EOS. We were involved in that, but I don't want to characterize us as being leaders of that in any way, shape, or form. We were on all the calls. We were working on things, but EOS Canada and EOS Authority and EOS New York, those guys were really building it, and we were kind of along for the ride or trying to help, but just not adding the same level of value. So
was that because of your funding level, or
no?
because
we got involved a little bit later, and it was more of a confidence level for me. I was like, I don't think, these guys don't need me to be leading this thing. But then when I was able to kind of articulate what it turned out a lot of people were thinking about where EOS was going, that kind of gave me the confidence, or more like proved to me that if I wanted to create this thing that was gonna be what I wanted EOS to be, that somebody had to step up and
if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself.
A little bit. So I was worried about it fairly early on. So I actually, within the first month, as I saw how things were going, it wasn't the fact that we weren't elected. That's fine. Yeah. It was how voting was going, how the incentives were aligned, and it looks great now. Basically, it's easy for anyone to say now, oh, I knew that was going to happen from the beginning, but kind of the situation you have on EOS right now is almost precisely what I predicted and talked about in the white paper, and it's happening, and I think it'll only continue to happen. So, but now the cool thing is we have Telos, and we have we have, so what the things we built, right? We took six months, worked hard, built a full WPS system, right? Worker proposal system. So EOS just burned over $110 million worth of EOS because they didn't know how to
distribute the funds.
They didn't know how to distribute the funds, and they were afraid if they had any kind of voting, it would just be voted to the whales. So, but we don't have that, and so we have it, and we're actually creating all these cool projects. Like there's a project that just was a keynote presentation at the WordPress Worldwide conference, publishers conference, and which like, well, what does that have to do with blockchain, right? Well, it should. So it should have a lot to do with blockchain. There's 75 million WordPress developers. So somebody came to us, a guy named Sebastian van der Lans, who was the guy who had written the GDPR plugin that everybody ended up using on WordPress to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
And he came to us, our community, Telos community, and he said, I want to build this thing called WordProof, which basically timestamps WordPress publications on blockchain. And it was the second or third proposal under our worker proposal system, and it got funded, it got made. Now people are actually, that's a real world use case where people are able to have the certificate that says, hey, this was timestamped on the Telos blockchain. So that only came about because we had this worker proposal system that we built. We also built arbitration. So EOS had arbitration. It didn't go well. It was sort of, a little bit doomed in its
they scrapped
origin,
that completely,
and they
didn't
totally scrapped it, right? We built it. Now we have ours is managed 100% by smart contracts. The people are, rather than being appointed, they're elected, right? Because we built this auxiliary voting system. So now so the idea is all the governance on Telos is led by the token holders, right? Mm-hmm. So and right now what we've just started is it launched an amendment to our governance, right? We have these governance documents. Instead of throwing these out, right, which EOS did, right, just recently, we are now amending it. We have this really cool smart contract controlled system that where each clause, we have different governance documents, and each clause in that, like a contract, is hosted as its own IPFS link. And so this smart contract goes in, and I proposed five clauses to replace one's a brand new clause, and 4 of them replace other clauses. And as people vote on those, if those are adopted, if the vote passes, it needs to be like 55% and a certain number of voters and whatnot, quorum. If that passes 29 days from now, then those new clauses that we put on IPFS will replace the clauses that exist there, and that will be our official governance document. Wow. It's all smart contract controlled, all user voted. Right, so like the only blockchain program that's even close is probably Telos, which is great. Mm-hmm. But that's like seen as the world's leading blockchain project. Ours is just the same. That's not doing the exact same thing, but it's as advanced or more advanced. The difference is that where Telos is sort of led by the developer group, right? The core developers, the clergy of the blockchain, right? Ours is, and that's who votes, because on Telos what you do is, and this is actually great, I'm a super huge fan of it, right? Is that you propose code, and then if people vote on whether that code is accepted.
People vote for the code changes?
Yeah. So, which is really cool. So for us, what happens is you vote for the rules, right? The common English language rules, and then if those are enacted, if those are selected and made into the law of the land, the law of the chain, then the core developers go code that, right? Because the difference is, otherwise it's I'm the head of the core developers, so I'm speaking as one of the clergy, right? I personally think that the voters need to do that. Like in a real world, in a real world setting, if you make a new law, then the Congress makes a new law here in the U.S. It doesn't, there's still bureaucracy that has to go out and, if you change the speed limit, somebody still has to change all the speed limit signs before, before So anyway, those are a bunch of things we built. Like this thing, WordProof, is an example of something that got built by our worker proposal system. So now all that is up and running, and it's really cool. Like big stuff.
I don't want to sidetrack you too much from Goodblock, because I do want to hear. But I mean,
I want to stay on.
You've got. Well, I mean, he's here to talk about Goodblock.
Well,
I'm not
necessarily.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay. Well, if you're
I don't
game
care.
for whatever, I'm
Yeah.
game for whatever.
I'm good for whatever. Like, so honestly,
He's got a lot of irons in the
Yeah.
fire.
yeah. I mean, good. It's all so interconnected in some
Yeah.
ways, right? Because Goodblock, we're really excited. I'm here talking about our game and our game platform, which is
Yeah.
going to be the first awesome game of blockchain. But we're deploying it on Telos.
Yeah.
You know, so.
So they're connected, but they're separate entities. Right?
They are, in fact, yeah. In fact, the main
And I
difference.
didn't know that.
I didn't either. Yeah, coming into today.
Yeah, until I was talking with Beth, and I tweeted something about it, and then I think either you had chimed in or she had chimed in, and that's when it occurred to me, like, wait, Goodblock isn't part of Telos?
No. Well,
that-
everyone says that, like, because I wrote the white paper and I'm
Yeah.
still the head of the core devs, and a lot of our developers are part of the core devs. But there's a lot of others. But we go to these big blockchain expos, and it blows people's mind because they're like, oh, so tell us about your company, and they'll be like me and 2 or 3 different other block producers, and I'm like, to be honest, those guys are my competitors. We're all competing to run the blockchain, but we all cooperate to promote the blockchain.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, Goodblock is a block producer on Telos. We are elected just like every other block producer needs to be elected by the voters, and the top 21 are the ones that actually sign all the blocks.
Right.
Except something else we added to EOS is, so EOS also has 21, and they're the only ones who do anything, right? The other, if you're below that, you never have to. You could be on a Mac Mini or a Raspberry Pi in the closet, right? There's nobody knows, right?
Yeah.
Because they're never called upon to act. The idea is they're there if half the network should go down, these guys would come in, but they're never tested and proven they have to do it. So that's just bad network resiliency.
That's one of the functionalities that I see in Telos that it blows my mind that EOS does not adopt.
Yeah. So just to finish the story,
yeah.
so for you guys, so there's 21 block producers on Telos, and then there's the next 30, the 30 who get the next most amount of votes. Those guys are standbys. They actually get paid a lot more than they get paid half the rate of a regular one. So it doesn't, because otherwise you get like runaways where the BPs who are in the top are always going to be in the top because
Right.
they're just going to get more and more and be able to vote for themselves. But we pay, so we pay them reasonably. But we also demand that about every week or so they get rotated. So there's constantly one rotating in, and they're rotating in, and they can actually vote on any kind of multi-sigs while they're rotated in,
Mm-hmm.
and they and so it means like we know who can do the job and who can't, and they know. And what we
Yeah.
saw was, and if you can't, then you get kicked. We also have this thing like if you miss 15% of your blocks, in that schedule, you're kicked. You're kicked for 2 hours. It's not a big deal.
2 hours, it's not.
Right, and the next time you come in, you're kicked for 4 hours and what? But every time you actually produce for 12 hours, it goes down. But basically, so we're trying to incentivize people. At 128 hours, yeah, you want to make sure your stuff is working, or you want to unreg until you do. But what we find out is if you give people a chance to try to do this and know that they're measured and know that they're going to be, that the voters are going to see that, then they rapidly improve their processes. So now every one of those 30 they're out. They love it when they get to they brag about it. They say these are our block. They get on the Aloha EOS benchmark thing and say, here's what we did. We were producing at this level.
Yeah.
And they're proud of it.
Yeah.
Right? And they know. If every one of the top block producers on Telos were to shut down, right now, ideally, staggered, I would have no worries whatsoever.
Somebody there is waiting just to.
Yeah,
to
all
take
these
over.
guys are tired and tested, and they're waiting for it. And I would not have any worry about the network resiliency. If any of that happened on EOS, I would be very worried about the network.
Has it
resiliency.
happened on EOS?
There were a
some
couple
scale?
of things that not at real scale. I actually thought it was going to happen at Chinese New Year. When all and it could still happen on a Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
Which is is the world's largest mass migration of people that's ever happened in the world. It happens each New Year, right, in China as they go home for Chinese New Year, right?
Okay.
And so actually a lot of people change jobs. They just don't come back to their old job. They start their own company or whatever. So it's very traditional. They're not guaranteed jobs, and so it's like basically a new year. So a lot of times, if you've done any work in China, you know that like people might not come back, right? And so because they do something else. And they're also not guaranteed a job if they do come back. So I actually kind of thought that that a number of Chinese block producers might, in that mix, lose some of their key staff, or have some problems while Chinese New Year is going on and everyone is going home to their hometowns, their home villages. It didn't happen. I hope it doesn't happen. Like, I see how it could happen. I feel like I'm like the climate scientist, who's like saying the glaciers are going to melt, and then people said, do you want something bad to happen on EOS? And I'm like, no. The climate scientists don't get excited when the polar ice caps melt. Right. They just know that shit's going to happen.
It's a possibility. You can see it coming potentially.
Yeah, you got to explain what the potential is.
Right. So
you mentioned
where are we now?
Switching gears here. You mentioned
he's got notes.
You mentioned WordPress as something that's implemented. It's working on Telos right now.
WordProof.
WordProof. What WordProof is it's a plugin for WordPress. WordPress is an open source plugin based thing, right? And if you want to add a new feature, right, as a publisher, you just drop in the plugin, right? There's all kinds of them.
It's like an alternative Squarespace.
It's very similar, right?
WordPress.
Is there anything else that's similar to come out soon, or that's going to be up and running?
How is WordProof different than Poet? Are you familiar with the Poet project?
Yeah. It's WordProof. So WordProof is backing up. The idea that WordProof is an alternative to Squarespace is funny because WordProof is the world's
You mean WordPress?
WordPress, yes, WordPress. It's the world's largest publishing platform.
Yeah.
Right. It has over 75 million publishers. Right. So Squarespace is like not in.
But I got to put it in terms that Nick can
bug on the windshield.
Digest.
Thanks. We got to dumb it down for me. Thanks, Ben.
So
our website's built on Squarespace, so that much is understandable.
Okay. About a third of the websites in the world, blogging websites in the world, are built on WordPress. And this is a plugin where where any of those publishers can say, hey, because right now if you publish something and then you go, oh well, I thought the Nets were going to win the game, and turns out it was the Lakers, and then you can just go change it and say, oh yeah, I said that, I was right, or stuff that actually matters. Like you can timestamp that and prove that what you said when. There's currently no way to do that.
So you say, I think Bitcoin's going to hit 13,500 and experience a pullback.
Yeah.
And you WordProof that.
Yep.
And now you can't, have anybody come back to you and say, oh, you changed that after the fact.
Yeah, exactly. And then another thing is, like, if I let's say I write up something that's like this big diatribe or whatever, and then I WordProof it, or I don't WordProof it, and then you come along and go, oh, that's great. I wrote that because I'm just going to put my name on it. That stuff happens all the time on the internet. If I WordProofed it, I would go, well, here's when I published mine. When did you publish yours, right? And effectively, it's going to become, and you could say anything you want, but I have a stamp, right? And what we expect is in the next 5 years or so, if you don't, it's just going to be a standard. Everyone's going to do this. It's going to be like, SEO is going to get locked into it. A lot of things are going to happen. So we're just going to standardize on that, and that'll probably be the first general real world usage of blockchain that most people ever encounter, right? In their lives.
And it's a good one.
It's a great one. It's one of 10,000 really good ones. But it's the one. It's the first one. Yeah. And so I'm very excited that we were able to be part of that by allowing that to get its initial funding to get off the ground.
Yeah.
So what's the most exciting thing that you're excited about right now that you're working on via Telos or Goodblock?
Okay.
For you personally.
Me personally, I'm very excited about our game Drakos Keep, which is going to be, we think, the first blockchain game that anyone ever plays just because they like the game.
Yeah.
To me, and I've worked in games for a while, there's no game that I would just play. Like everything in blockchain gaming right now is either just a way to get around local laws about gambling, right? Which is fine because most of those just exist to protect the local lottery or whatnot. But that's why. But there's that, or there's FOMO. There's people who think that something's going to go through the roof, and therefore they want to get in now. Those are the reasons people are playing blockchain games to date. The real reason but no one's playing games because it's just such a fun game.
Yeah.
So we're changing that,
especially on a blockchain, because it can't be easy, and most blockchains can't handle gaming because every move is a transaction, right?
It doesn't have to be, but yes, that's a big challenge, right? So when every move is a transaction, then on Ethereum, like I've played games where I didn't, I figured out how much gas to do and send it through MetaMask, and got a cup of coffee, and
Yeah.
and then it would come back, and I guess I lost. It turns out I lost. Right? It's like the wind up your shoulders thing. So in a game in game design, we used to call them like executables, right? But basically now people which is basically a function. It's like mousetrap, Once the mousetrap is built and you drop it, there's no more interactions. It's just going to go through this little Rube Goldberg device, right? It's not that fun. It's a little fun if you can kind of like see the things happening, but it's not that fun. You want interaction, right? I want to play a card, and then you play your card, and then I play my next card based on what you played, right? Now that those type of things are important, you simply cannot do those things on Ethereum-based games, blockchains, because it's just too slow. But not every single thing, depending on the game, not every single thing has to be recorded on blockchain. So we record ownership, we record certain stats, things like that. Whether you played this card or I played or that card, some games that's very important, some games it's not as important, right?
So a lot of the back end of the game, is it done locally on device, and then like the results and awards and things like that are then verified on the blockchain? Is that how?
Yes, for some, that's exactly how it works for some of our games. This is why you're able to get a mobile gaming experience, and for things that aren't that important. Now, if I level up my dragon, or if I sell my dragon, if I breed my dragon and make new ones, or if I buy things on a skill tree, those types of things, probably more important that they're immutably stored on a blockchain, right? But with Telos, because there's no gas fees and the block times are 1/2 second, and there's no congestion because it has the record for the second most transactions ever recorded in 24 hours on a blockchain, according to blocktivity.info.
No big deal.
No big deal. Shit like that, So because of that, we can quickly do certain types of things, but. Not everything necessarily works. For some games, right, you would never be able to do like a real sort of arcade shoot 'em up type of game that way.
Yeah.
But with Drakos Keep, you can expect it to move, fluently. Benjamin was able to play Drakos Keep, and
it was
he
fluid.
lost, but
No, I won.
Oh,
yeah, he won.
Yeah, totally.
It was the first time.
Probably let him win, but
Gotta give me that one.
Either way,
he's just an awesome gamer.
And what I saw, there was nothing that was slowing down at all. It all moved very fast. No bogging down.
Yeah. It's a playable
demo.
Game. Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to.
It's a game. Would you play that game? Well, you won, right? I would play
it
that
more
game.
now because I won.
Yeah.
Just let everybody win the first time. They'll keep playing.
Yeah, totally. That's our strategy. That's our whole strategy.
Yeah. So like we were talking about before, there's other games that I've seen, quote blockchain based games, and one that I've played that was on EOS that was just junk. But and I'm trying to explore these things to see how usable that they are, and if they are fun, if they are usable, to give them exposure. And they're just, until now, they're just not. And Drakos Keep was actually usable. It was actually fun. And that's not just lip service. Because if it wasn't, I wouldn't say anything about it.
Right. No, I appreciate that. Well, that's one of the reasons why I showed it to you. It's then. By the way, what you saw is a in-house demo. We don't show that. It's only because we go way back.
Way back.
Way back.
But what we're using that. We have a big background in games, right? And so we know how to make stuff fun, and we really want to lead with fun. But then the other thing is we have this amazing art that is the seed of the art is done by 5 or 10 of the top fantasy art painters in the world. They're so great. They're all over the world. They're in Chile and Poland, and a couple are in the US, and they do this awesome, great dragon art that makes me feel like I'm 9 years old, and it's the cover of Dragon magazine or the Dungeon Master's Manual or something like that, and like the one that they do in color. But but each dragon, the way we put these together and genetically combine these, they each look like an original painting, right? They don't look patchworky at all. They look like an original painting by an awesome fantasy artist but I am the only. But they're unique. They're not just rare. There's not just it's not just one of 200. It's unique. I'm the only one who has that dragon. That dragon grows up from an egg to a hatchling to a juvenile to an adult to an elder to an ancient that looks like the most awesome dragon, and just gets more and more awesome. But all an expression of its genes. Your strategy as a gamer is a reflection of the genes of your dragon. You can breed new dragons. Some people will make lots of money doing this, like grinding up, leveling up dragons, selling them. Mm-hmm. But they're so cool. Like when I see these, every time we get more art in, I'm like, oh yeah. Or we like sit around and just sometimes when we're looking at different features, we just generate new dragons. And it's like, oh, that one's, oh, what's that? It's like it has that sort of emotional engagement of like you're a little kid and like.
How fast are they being created right now?
Well, they're not going to be. So these are all in-house right now.
Yeah.
We're not going to create them until the game is ready to launch.
I've seen you tweet about Drakos Keep a couple of different times with just an image.
You just see some of the images, right?
Yeah. That
would be your dragon. Those are pretty cool dragons, right? Those are all unique.
But I didn't understand. I just didn't. So when I saw that, my mind went to what I had seen already, which was not attractive, really. And I didn't really pay it that much attention as a result. I think once people get to see what we have seen, the momentum is going to shift quite a bit.
I hope so. Also, man, so these are all like, so in a world where you have your own unique assets, right? You have a dragon. It's a fucking great dragon, right? Can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. We've gotten away with worse stuff, I think.
There's a lot of ways, so you can use that in the game, right? But our vision is that you own that dragon, so you should be able to do anything, like all kinds of cool stuff with that dragon. So for example, we're going to have, in a little while, we're going to have an AR viewer, right? So you can take a selfie, and you can place your dragon in the selfie, and that dragon, people do this already with Pokemon and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm there with my Pikachu. Your Pikachu looks exactly like everybody else's Pikachu. That's great. People love it. It's actually really fun. But what if you have like a Snapchat type thing where you're taking a picture and it's your dragon, and no one else will ever have that exact same dragon unless they buy it from you, right? And we think, and then bring that out beyond dragons. I mean, dragons are super cool. We love them, but it's going to be a whole world. And not just our world, I want to see like the Lego come out with, Lego, by the way, would be the best brand ever to come out with a blockchain game, right? Because it's blocks, and they also make awesome games. So we would love to make their blockchain, help work with them to make their blockchain game. But let's say there's a blockchain game, a Lego blockchain game where they have all these like little things and they can build stuff up, and oh my god, I want to do it right now. Those should be able to play with a dragon from Drakos Keep. If you bought that and you have this and you have a cool Lego thing and you have an awesome ancient dragon and you guys meet in sort of some kind of play space realm or something,
like a dark alley.
Yeah, dark alley. Yeah. No, online, right? In a number of ways, right? Then you guys should be able to. There should be games that are built by third parties, right? For your games for your assets to work together, right?
Yeah.
I'm still visualizing myself with a selfie with my dragon.
Yeah.
Right.
And as the VR and
they
AR,
grow up so fast, right? So you start with your hatchling.
Yeah. You have them on a little blanket that says 2 months.
Right.
That would be funny.
Oh, it's happening. It's happening.
That would be really funny. But yeah, as the virtual reality space expands, that type of thing will expand with it.
Well, and AR.
Yeah.
Like this. Look at this place right here. Like we should be able to like place you place your dragon here and I place my dragon here. Right now they're really awesome 2D assets because that's how we got that painterly look. That's how we got to evoke that feeling of the Dungeon Master Manual and stuff like that. So for a lot of people is a big thing, right? But but that same token, that exact same dragon, you don't have to go. It doesn't die, and you don't have to like buy a new one. There will in the future be a 3D model visualization with animations of that dragon, right? Yeah. So the dragon you buy now, and right now it's animated 2D. It will be animated 3D.
So like in an upgrade, you're saying, or you're implying, in an upgrade, some point in the future, we could have AR battles.
Yeah, I'm not implying that. I'm saying that. But, you
That
know,
would be
we're
really
sitting here.
cool.
You're gonna put your dragon here. I'm gonna put my dragon here, and then we're gonna watch. You know, I'm
Yeah.
gonna control mine through the thing, and we're gonna watch it.
pretty cool.
And you could tune into our server, and everyone here could be looking at this from their own angle, and it's AR, it's
Yeah.
3D. So
How far away is that, you think, in your technology? I mean,
it's not that far.
Really?
We're gonna do this. So it's not that far.
Worst case scenario, because we have no frame of reference.
2 years.
2 years?
That's amazing. Well, I can say, you know, you're familiar with
Less than,
Oculus.
I actually think it's less than 2 years, but let's say 2 years.
So you're
Yeah.
familiar with Oculus, of course,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
all
yeah.
that. I mean, that seems like they've just in the last year grown in what you can do on that network now,
Yeah.
and playing people all over.
What's your
the world,
favorite AR or
hypothetically.
VR? Well, okay, let's say your VR. What's your favorite VR experience? Or
I'm
equipment?
I'm a little disappointed in VR right now. One of the problems is, so I got early in Oculus and early what was the Google one or the Samsung one they picked up, and I think there's some actual like physical problems with AR right now, because you're taking pixels, you're putting them really close to your face, you're using these like weird diopter things, and it bends the pixels, and I don't think it's as immersive as it's going to be. But we're getting there. I kind of like jump scare horror stuff.
So jump scare meaning like you're jumping off a cliff? And
No. Jump scare like a movie where like it's all dark and you're walking through a house.
And all of a sudden,
Oh,
and then a creepy nun is there, you know? Yeah.
so you like to be frightened.
I kind of like that. Yeah.
that's cool.
I saw her looking at her watch over here.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. We started on Telos. We went to this thing in London, this big 12,000 person blockchain expo in London,
Yeah.
and spoke 2 months ago. And all these enterprise businesses were like super excited about Telos, but then they would get to the point like, where do we do? And we were like, we're a decentralized network, so we can point you to our GitHub, I suppose.
Yeah.
And so we walked away from that, went, wow, we are just leaving tons of projects on the table. So, but because it's like a decentralized group, they need something.
You need a herder. You need like a wrangler that'll steer people.
It's not just that. It's fine that it's fine and great and wonderful, perfect that the chain itself is operated in a decentralized way. But but we needed some kind of business that could do statements of work and contracts and stuff like that.
A branch for recruitment or something along those
Well,
lines,
yeah,
or-
like a consultancy.
Yeah.
So we spent a couple months and we built a company with about 15 of the block producers that are sort of technical leaders, and we only work together on this. There's not on the chain. We're still cooperative, competitive on the chain. Mm-hmm. But on this, we realized that no one of us had the reach of all of us. So we're based. It's called Telos Blockchain Solutions Limited. It's a limited company in London, based in this cool incubator there called Level 39, and we can sort of leverage the ability of me architecting projects and other people managing projects and developers who are in other countries who wouldn't be able to go out and sell these projects to big things, to be able to build these things that will solely go on Telos. Right? That's the reason why it's a small number. It's because we took basically the 15 BPs on Telos that only did Telos, that weren't interested in any other projects, and we just came together and we said, let's build this thing so that we don't have to worry about losing stuff. So we already signed some strategic partnerships with like a big IoT device company, and they're coming on, and we're like, I went to another blockchain conference in Amsterdam about a week ago, which is why I'm kind of droopy. Mm-hmm. And I got to be on a panel with the blockchain people from Hugo Boss.
Yeah, so
yeah, Carrefour, which is like the Costco of France. They actually created the hyperstore concept, and energy company called Deitzmann in Germany. And these are companies that are all and Little Me, and a moderator from McKinsey, right? And so these are companies that they're not on their first or even second blockchain project, and all of them are saying, now down the road we really need a fast but decentralized solution, and Telos is actually one of the very, very few of those around. So I'm excited about about working with many of the companies that we spoke with at these things, and hopefully, I can't talk about anything right now, but I predict that there will be some really impressive enterprise businesses deploying proof of not proof of concept, like the actual real pilot projects or real projects on Telos. We built a bunch of proof of concepts that we showed them. We have supply chain, building management system for data centers. All these things that they're like constantly writing IoT devices onto the blockchain. Then they can visualize and use and make rules around.
I'm excited about that. One of those proof of concepts, or is that an actual product?
Well, okay. So that lockbox, that's not one that we personally built, but that Goodblock built. But another of our partners in a company called Proxybots built that for us. Not for Goodblock, for Telos. So that was made of wood. Did you see that? It's a safe.
I did not.
Think about this.
Can you explain it for people that
didn't
see
what we had, it's called the Telos safe, right? So the Telos safe, it's a safe like that is opened, that is hooked up to the internet and is opened via a signature on the Telos blockchain. So basically, I can send something from my thing, and it opens it, and then I can and then there's a record. So I can access it, and there's a record of when it was open and when it was closed. Now think about what you could do with this. So you could that's done from a phone, but it could be done from a multi-sig wallet. It could mean that for us to open it, two of the three of us have to sign the multi-sig,
wow,
right?
That's really cool.
Right?
Yeah,
imagine I think of it like, as you guys know about like Amazon lockers, right? So like you got an Amazon locker where
or rental properties.
I'll make anything. So let me do the Amazon locker thing, but it's a million things. So let's say it's the Amazon locker. The stuff gets put into it, right? And then to open it, and then it gets set to my unique wallet address that bought the stuff is the thing that can unlock it. And you could even do stuff, because another thing we built on Telos is an IPFS solution. So you could
IPFS is
interplanetary file system, but it's basically decentralized storage. So most blockchains don't have any way to store any kind of other files, right? Like we needed to build this for our governance, but there's a lot of so you can store blockchain controlled music files or videos or PDFs or all these things on IPFS. So you could also this thing could have like a small camera in it, right? And I could open the thing up, and I could take the thing out. I could take out my thing, and it could maybe snap a quick picture of.
Are you talking like biometric types?
So the lockers are here. I use the blockchain to open it up. So that's recorded. I take the thing out. It maybe takes a picture of my face to and it stores that to IPFS.
Yeah. So it's got a record of who was authorized to open it and a snapshot of who actually opened it.
I mean, the snapshot could be overkill because like the key solution is pretty good. Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of that could also be stored.
Hypothetically, it's doable.
All that could be stored on the blockchain. So only I could really open it, right? And or only we could open it or whatever. Like this is a great way to there's no risk. There's none of those risks, right? And these would be easy to deploy anywhere and everywhere. Yeah. And rental properties too, all kinds of things. Like get into your house, get into, But I think this this sort of Amazon locker thing is a ideal, first use, right? Not proof of concept, the first use, because it's so often something needs to be done by some other person. Right now there's codes. There's a centralized system, and it works for Amazon. But if someone wanted to do a decentralized Amazon, you would use like a Telos safe style lockbox.
Is this safe still in development, or is this something that's already deployed on Telos?
Yeah, no, it was like what we were showing. Everything we showed at Amsterdam was a live thing that's deployed on the Telos mainnet.
There was a video.
So we could hypothetically have our own safe on Telos right now, Benjamin or I, if we wanted to create it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool.
Or you could make your house, what we showed was a proof of concept. Yeah. It is running on the Telos blockchain. I think development would still need to be done to do a really ideal version of
Yeah.
it. But
that helps get the point across. Is look, this is what's capable with the tools that we have
right now. What we can like so yeah, you might have to make the safes, but people know how to make safes.
Yeah.
You might have to make the lockers, you might have to do this, but it's not. We're not saying is this is some product we want to make someday when the blockchain technology is ready.
Yeah.
It's like nope, it is ready on Telos right now. Same thing with big supply chain stuff. Same thing with, imagine, like we have one of our proof of concepts that we were showing, but we're actually using in our own data centers. Are these little IoT devices that are measuring the in like a data center, co-location data center, which means that like this whole room is full of racks that different companies are renting, right? And so if you're renting a rack in a big data center, right? You want to make sure that your stuff, how do you constantly measure that your stuff is like in premium optimal conditions?
I have no idea.
Right. So what most people actually do, very common, is to actually have a thermometer, like a electronic thermometer and a little IP camera that points it at it, and and actually you're like as a like a last way to prove what whether it's in the right tolerances, right? Because it's important for computer equipment. You're paying to have the proper cooling and stuff done.
Yeah.
So with our data center building management system, we can put one of these devices in each one. Whatever you set it to, every 10 seconds, right? Is how it's set right now. It's going to look at temperature, humidity, barometric pressure, just because sometimes that matters for something, if windows are open or not, and line voltage. And so you're going to know what all your computers are running on. Now think about this. So that's all written to the blockchain, right? Now once that's written to the blockchain, not only can I monitor that and go, hey, that's you guys aren't doing what you're saying you do. I can write a smart contract on top of that says every minute that it's 1 degree over, there's gonna be a microtransaction for 0.002 Telos, right? And so then it's like, now
there's a cost.
Yeah, there's a cost, right? And no one has
talking about incentivizing based on costs.
Yeah, so if your line voltage is noisy and all over the place, then it's like, well, that's going to cost you because, frankly, it's making my computer equipment not work well or break down. If the temperature is high or the humidity is high, suddenly there's a cost. And once there's a cost, like you said, there's the incentives are there to do it right. And also, these micropayments can happen. Right, and because there's no cost, you can't do that in something where you have a gas price because typically the gas price is higher, right? And you wouldn't be able to have this sort of granularity. But on Telos, you can just charge people, and you can build a tokenized economy on it as soon as because you have the data. I think that in 3 or 4 years, every big data center is going to just have this as a expected service.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
It makes sense.
Works on Telos right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm excited about that. I'm in a weird situation where I'm like the CEO of a new company that's coming out with a whole new take on games.
Yeah.
Right. But then I'm also the one of the leaders and the leader of the core developers for Telos, which takes a lot of my time too.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can only imagine.
How do you juggle that?
Yeah.
Poorly.
Yeah.
Little sleep.
Yeah.
Very little sleep.
Here's something kind of cool about. I wanted to tell you about like how the core devs works, right? So, I am currently, running an organization that's called the Telos Core Devs, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, but it's a lot of people involved, but let's say people didn't like what I was doing, right? So we're paid by our worker proposal system, which is voted by the users. So if I want to do something and I think, hey, this is the direction, and most of the users don't agree with that, here's what can happen. They stop paying me. They say, we don't agree with that. They stop paying me. Maybe I still do it anyway, but the block producers so once we push code, the block producers have to accept it. So the block producers say, no, we're not taking that code. The users have spoken, even though you're still pushing out code. We're not going to push any of your code onto the network. We're going to push these other guys, that everybody is voting for and likes, and they're getting paid, and so their code's the one. And eventually, I would be irrelevant, and I would go away. It means that it's really one of the first blockchain projects ever where you can fire the founder. Wow. Where you can fire the core developer team, right? If you don't believe it.
On the team.
The users. It could be, but I mean, it doesn't. have to be that granular. It's you could basically say somebody, what defines who is the core developers for Ethereum, right? It's they say they are and they have been forever, right?
Yeah.
If you don't believe in that anymore, right, then and you can't really do anything about it, especially as just a user. But on Telos, if people lose faith in me or what I'm trying to do, and they say, no, we're not going to vote for that guy anymore, we're not going to pay that guy. You can do all you want, but we're not going to pay for it, and we're going to tell the block producers who we also select that we don't want them to push your code. Wow. So, but we like these other guys, and they're and that's the users. The users get to do it, not just a bunch of not the miners, like on a lot of chains, not a group of the whales, or not a group of the other developers, right? Having their sort of secret cloistered meetings. The users, the token owners, go in, vote that, fully smart contract controlled. Right? I couldn't stop it if I wanted to. I hope it doesn't happen. I don't want that to happen.
Well, and the whales, at least in the beginning of Telos, were eliminated. I mean, that was one of the reasons.
They were minimized. They weren't eliminated.
Yeah, well,
because realistically, even if at day one, when you go to mainnet and everybody's account balance is reduced to 40,000, day two you could just start buying up more Telos.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, yeah.
And people, and some people do.
Yeah.
But here's the difference. So because of the way that EOS was set up, like we only cut about 1,000 accounts, and that cut 2/3 of the money supply, right? And of those, like 100 of those accounts were actually also responsible for about 2/3 of them. It's Pareto, right?
Yeah.
So there were huge whales. We're seeing their effects right now. So even if people then start going and buying this stuff on regular exchanges, publicly available exchanges, what happens is that drives the price. You have to pay a lot of money if you wanted to sort of corner the market on Telos on a free and open market. The reason that existed in EOS was that had to do with the way that their initial pre-sale was done.
Yeah.
But which I think they tried to do the best job they could.
Yeah.
But it
was
resulted.
Innovative.
Yeah, in many ways. But what happens, if you look at the functional result, it was a very, very skewed distribution, which most blockchains have. So even if we do go through that process where it gets more and more centralized into a few things, that would still be orders of magnitude less centralization than what EOS started out with. Right?
And that's centralization in terms of account holder balances.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's important because when those in DPoS and delegated proof of stake, that voting, that account balance is the method of voting to select your validators. So the block producers are selected by those people. So if people own a lot and the idea was always, well, if they own a lot, then they're going to have the best interest of the network at heart. But really, all these people have their own best interest at heart.
Yeah.
That's just nature.
Yeah.
So I just have one last question. Is in regards to exchanges, should everybody? Is there going to be some more exchanges popping up for Telos that you know of?
Yeah, yeah, there are. So one of the challenges when you don't raise any money, which we didn't, Telos is probably the largest grassroots launch of the last 2 years, and then Grin came along and also did a grassroots launch, which is awesome. But certainly for 2018, we were probably the largest mainnet to launch that didn't raise any money, right, for an ICO or any other token sale. That is great. That lets us be whale list. That lets us do a lot of things. But it also means there's no war chest, right? So we can't spend a lot to get on all these exchanges. Absolutely. We've had to be very cautious about that. We had the Telos Foundation. We had some funds, and now the thing we're actually voting on is called the TED plan, the Telos Economic Development Plan. That's going to take some of the coins that we set aside for exchanges that they haven't used and slowly feed some of those to other uses to promote the network.
Yeah.
But while eliminating inflation on the network. So Telos will, for the time that it goes, 1 to 5, 6, 7 years even, have zero inflation, but you can rec stake and you can get 20-30% return.
I still have so many more questions.
I know.
Yeah, I don't want to keep.
Yeah.
We should talk about the Telos Economic Development Plan soon, because not only is the vote historic, but what we're doing is awesome for Telos. It is coming out of more. The lack of funds has been the problem with why we couldn't just explode onto stuff and therefore onto changes, because you just can't pay.
It's going to be in your benefit in the long run, because that kind of bootstrap history gives credibility.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we've done, and we didn't have massive whale investment out the gate. We're putting our money where our mouth is.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I ultimately respect about what Telos is accomplished today, is the money where your mouth is approach.
Yeah.
Like, not
there was no
everybody.
ICO launch. There was no bunch
No.
of millions coming in.
No, and it has its problems, but it also lets, for the long term, it's awesome.
Yeah.
People sometimes, so I don't ever call myself the founder of Telos for many good reasons. That's why I say I'm the white paper author and the chief architect or whatever. But so when people do say that, I say no. The founders of Telos are anyone who's in Telos right now. Anyone who's engaging it in the first year is essentially a founder of Telos.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Not just our launch group, not just people who are coming out. And what's happening is building a really great community. And while I know we would all like the token price to go up, and we all think it will, what's hard to do, so organizations are not just their rules and their technology, but they're the culture that's developed around. And the culture, most people will tell you, is actually the hardest part to develop. Mm-hmm. And there's a really great culture of people being respectful, and people, you don't have to have these heated arguments, because you can actually vote on stuff and decide, and it's just I'm very happy. That is a real silver lining to the challenge of having no money, is it means that people who do come in are people like you guys who are like, I actually like what this is doing. This is like 7 years ago when people got involved because they just really like the ethic of a project, not because they thought it was going to move.
Yeah.
Right.
When any new technology comes out, there's crime, gambling, and porn, right? Are the very which we've already seen, and then games are like actual legit games are pretty soon after it, right? Because these are the early adopters, and then the businesses come on. So it's an adoption curve we've seen many times, and that's where we're at.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Super exciting.
Well, thank you very much for.
Yeah,
Thank you. I got to talk.
Thank
I can
you.
do my
Yeah.
talk
Ladies and
now.
gentlemen,
Thanks for
Douglas
taking-
Horn.
Thanks.
All right. Well, now we'll cut.
Actually, this is always good.
Yeah. It was a great day.
Yeah, it was an awesome day.
Shout out to Justin Wu, who planned the event.
Shout out to Beth Farnham. Shout out also to Seth Goldfarb. Met a lot of really cool people while we were there. You know how these things go. There's lots of networking involved, and you take notes on interesting projects that you hear about and people that you meet, and we're gonna have to cut all that kind of stuff up in post-production and bring it to you guys in the next episode of Crypto Unqualified.
Beautiful day here in the Northwest.
We out.
You're going north. You want to go north? Go down south.
I was just gonna take.
Going south.
Doesn't that go south?
No.
No.
I'm about to take you north.
I know exactly what I'm doing.
Crypto Unqualified.